I thought it was where we weren't across from where. I'm thinking of the field where Chris Martin lives now, or has forever. I was thinking it was that field.
No,
it was this
field. Yeah, this is the field.
Yeah, okay. 100% because it's 1 block away from the house.
I don't remember.
It was at least like 85.
No, it was 100. I don't know how we knew, but it was 100 yards.
Yeah, it was, and everybody kind of was over here. Yeah, the end zone. There was an end zone there and an end zone over there. And what year was that? Maybe like 1986, 87, something like that.
Okay, so this is the Grant Gresham football game. And we're standing on the field where the game actually took place. And this is Trace, he was the referee. And
hi, Travis.
Hey, Trace. So one of the things is, first off, that I have no idea how the whole thing got started. And it's not that I don't remember, I didn't know at the time. Like, I just heard about it, like people were talking about maybe we should have this Grant Gresham football game. And I immediately kind of elected myself to be the captain of the Grant team because I was really the only one that had ever played. I played like a half a season of high school football, and I was our most experienced
You were pretty
player.
good, right?
No.
Got it.
But I mean, I thought I was.
Right.
In my heart, I knew I was a good football
But for Grant,
player.
you were the most experienced player?
Yeah, I was the most experienced player. And so the whole thing happened because people from Grant, where I went to school, became friends with people from Gresham. And it was sort of like 2 social groups. And somehow it must have been a party or something. Somebody got the idea, well, we should Grant GHS, Gresham GHS. We should have a football game.
That's funny.
And I heard about it, like I said, I heard about it later, so I don't... I've always been curious about how that got, like it had to have been shit talking or whatever. So if anybody sees this video, I'm gonna tag you all. And if you know the answer, please tell me, because I'm curious. So anyway, yeah, the Gresham team was Sean Krogan and Paul Krogan, Tony Graff, John Kreider, and Ricky Racer.
Ricky Racer, that 5.
Yeah. And then the Grant team was me and John Grunkmeyer, Andy Biggs.
He was good.
Tim True.
Tim True was good.
Marty Laughlin.
Laughlin was good.
And then we had Sean Lindsay and Tarek Johnson and Mike Bates were our bench, and they only had 5 people, so they all had to play the whole game. And that's the only like advantage that we had, was that we had people that we could substitute, so you could get a breather during the
But they had.
And it was a really hard game, so that was a big advantage. But 2 of the guys on the Gresham team, Paul Krogan and Tony Graff, had played football during high school, and they were big guys. And I believe that team, the Gresham team, actually won the state championship like in '84 or something like that. So they were pretty good. And but we had the bench, and like Sean and Tarek, everybody was drunk, but they were really drunk. Sean was really enthusiastic, but he didn't really know how to play football. And Tarek was just really drunk and didn't care if he got hurt, and he kind of, I think, wanted to hurt other people. So that was good.
Who was that? Tarek?
Tarek. Yeah.
Was he all that violent and he wanted to hurt people?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did. All right, let me go.
Yeah, he was. He's Tarek Michael Johnson.
And so like the Grant team, when we showed up, we were all like in shorts and, t-shirts and stuff. And then the Gresham team showed up and they looked like the Ramones. They were wearing like jeans and leather jackets. And they literally were all wearing jeans and leather jackets.
Smoking.
Yeah, and we all had a bunch of beer. there are a few people on the sidelines. And what I remember from when we would play like sandlot games when I was a kid was that you would say, okay, we're going to play tackle, but sometimes it would be like a really hard tackle situation where you hit each other really hard, and then other times it would be just sort of like you kind of hit the person and they go down and make it easy on you, you know, and then nobody really gets hurt. And you never really know what it's going to be until you start. Well, this was full contact. And we played an hour, and it was on this field right here, so it was 100 yards and 5-on-5, which it's a huge field for 5-on-5. Usually when you play 100 yards, you have 11 people on the team. And so we just beat the shit out of each other. So what do you have to add so far here?
So I'm Trey Shannon, and somehow I definitely got involved with this. I'm a sports enthusiast, go Broncos in football, and I kind of like organization. I did not go to either Gresham nor Grant, and I had friends in both of those schools. And so I remember being really enthusiastic at some point. It went at some party just probably right around the corner here. We just drove by their house, and I at some point, I don't know if I forced myself on to being the referee or you asked me to be the referee.
All pretty into it.
And I was like, I have a ref shirt and a whistle and all this shit. So I had a ref shirt and a whistle.
Stopwatch.
And a stopwatch. My grandfather's stopwatch. So very good timing and took it seriously. We measured out the 100 yards. And you know, if I'm gonna be the ref, I was running a tight ship, and there were timeouts allotted and substitutions, and I think first downs were actually first downs because we had it like 10 yards, and you know we didn't have.
Oh, we had chains.
We had stuff. Yeah, it wasn't chains, but we marked it off pretty well, and it was a football game. It was a hard-fought gridiron battle, and you guys were just killing each other. Like, and it was just like, and there was a lot of big plays because you can't cover the field, so. Marty Laughlin was really fast, and Paul Krogan, and they would like end around and like 90-yard touchdown, and it was like 7-0. But then Paul Krogan was.
Sean was really fast too. Like he was a little guy. Like Paul was really fast, and I mean he's short, but he's a big dude. And then Tony was, but Paul was Sean was really.
Yeah, I don't remember. It doesn't surprise me that Sean Krogan is fast.
Ricky and John were just kind of big guys.
They all, I mean, and none of these people I could think of were jocks at this time too. I mean, even though Paul Krogan played football and Tony played football for teams and you played a little bit, none of you all were like jocks.
No, none of us were jocks.
But you got really like jockey about this full contact football game. And we used to drink a lot of like Mickey's and Green Death, and so a lot of beers and hanging out, and then just marching over here. And
one of the neighbors came over, and
what I'm very proud of is like I gave a show because I was reffing, so I sang the national anthem to the crowd that had gathered, and there was a few people, and maybe Mr. Krogan was there. We were talking about that on the way over, but Paul and Sean's dad, I think, came down from Gresham to watch his boys play, and there was some people like that. So there was a crowd, so I sang national anthem, flipped the coin, did the whole deal, started it. And it was just like back and forth, as I remember it. And maybe somebody would get up a couple of touchdowns, but it was a very
back and forth pretty much the whole time until.
And then there was halftime, and I sang, I did a little dance. I remember I did something dumb like this, and we had halftime entertainment to give everybody a breather, take a knee, have a blow, and take a blow, right? Drink more beer. And then they came out to this just like vicious second half, and at some point. This neighbor from one of these houses came over. We noticed suddenly it's an African-American dude, and he had like a chair. He had his own chair. It was a nice chair, and he had his own beer. And he watched.
He sat like right over there.
Right there. And he watched. That was a little more that way, but he was right over there minding his business. And he had been watching the game through like the first half or something. And he's like, this is a pretty good football game. So he moved closer. And he comes in really handy because there was this huge, big momentum shifting play where there was this whole pass, and there was all this stuff going on because people are falling down and holding, and I turn and touchdown, and I'm forgetting who scored, but I think it was Grandma. It was a big touchdown,
And I was like, no, there was holding. There was holding and he didn't see it.
And I just
but
didn't see
the spectator did, and he said,
like,
yeah,
there was holding. He's like, he screwed it up. So we called it all back and brought the touchdown back, and it was really controversial. And then there was like this onside kick that happened late in the game. And like you guys,
I remember that was a nightmare. That the ball, an onside kick. If it doesn't go 10 yards, then if you're the team receiving it, you don't want to touch it. Just let it be.
Exactly.
But if it goes over 10 yards, then
it's a live ball.
The other team can get it, so you need to pick it up.
Right.
And Marty the ball was right here, and he went like this, and instead of, and I'm like, pick it up. I was on the sidelines, and he didn't hear me, and he was crazy. We were all insane. So they got the ball.
Huge. So then tell us about. So what, you were probably on the sideline getting your last breath of air before you came in for that big play.
So
the end of the game.
It all came down to the last play. It really wasn't the last play of the game, but it was the deciding play of the game. We were behind by 7, and we were on the goal line right over there.
That's true.
And we had like a yard to go. It really was like the longest yard. And I had been quarterback, so I was like, I'm gonna fucking take the ball in myself. And it was kind of stupid of me to do that, but selfish. But I just felt like I just deserved it or something. Anyway, I got the ball. I went back like I was gonna throw. And then I went and I hit the line, and it was like hitting a wall. I just went bam. And as soon as I hit it, John Kreider just punched me in the mouth. And I don't know if he did it on purpose or it was just...
smash mouth football, they call it.
Yeah, smash mouth, it literally was.
Right.
But if he did it on purpose, so what? I mean, it was a tough game. I asked you, like, why didn't you call?
Right. I called him as I see him now, and it was right towards the end of the game. It was like almost the last play too. It was like close.
The whole game
decided on
unnecessary roughness.
It was. So. I couldn't have blown the whistle on that. I had to swallow the whistle, but I didn't.
So he punched me in the mouth, or he didn't really punch me, but his hand just kind of, and I was bleeding.
For bleeding, that is true.
I dropped the ball, and Paul Krogan fucking picked it up and ran all the way, like 99 yards to the other end.
Another big play. The game was full of big plays.
We were down by 14. They kicked it to us, and we didn't score again, and we lost by 14.
So it seems like Gresham kicked your ass, but you were going in for the tying score.
It wasn't. They did win by 2 touchdowns, but
it almost went to. If that had gone into overtime, it would have just. I don't know if we'd be here.
We all would have died. The one thing I remember about it is that for a week, and maybe almost 2 weeks after the game, I was in so much pain that I couldn't go up a flight of stairs if it didn't have a handrail. And I mean, since then, I've never been in so much pain that I couldn't go up a flight of stairs without the handrail. But we all were like that, and we didn't know if it was like from the running or from getting hit or both or whatever, but it was really
drinking.
It was tough.
Rainier ale for 72 hours.
Yeah.
I was like pleased to be part of it. I felt I ran a tight ship. I put on a good show, and I will go down always saying it was an amazing spectacle. And it was GHS versus GHS. That's funny, and somehow it just turned into an actual. Really hard fought, well played football game, and again, proud to be part of it. Thanks, Trav.
Hey, yeah. So, one thing I forgot to say before here was that there were a few people, spectators over here, and one of them was a girl named Kristen Stiegel. And she at one point, I had been playing quarterback, but I went out for a pass on this one play, and it was right about here. And the guy, whoever was quarterbacking, threw the ball, and Kristen was sitting right there, and she said, "Hey, Travis." And I went, "Hey, Kristen," and the ball just went by me. And, that was like another critical play. And I always thought, like, I admired her for doing it because she went to Gresham. She was friends with all of us. But, she probably wanted them to win. I don't blame her. And it was very clever of her, but I was always really pissed off at myself for fall. I mean, I just completely like, "Oh, hey, Kristen," right as he threw the ball. She was perfect. So thanks, Kristen.